Good afternoon, White Pine County School District. This is your Superintendent, Adam Young, and I have the great pleasure today of being in Lund, Nevada, with three pretty much brand new, amazing educators in the Lund K through 12 school. Over here we have Moroni Perez. In the middle we have Katie Carter, and over here Adie Kelly. And you're in for a treat today because you're going to get to know these individuals just a little bit and learn about all of the ups and downs, or at least a few of the ups and downs of being a first year teacher. So thanks you guys for joining me today. Appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. So how about we'll just start down on this end, Moroni. You have a lot of roots in the White Pine area. As a former student, as an employee, what made you decide to make a career change at this point in your life?
I've always enjoyed learning and growing, and in my previous career, it benefited me a lot to the extent that I could have this opportunity. I gained a lot of my knowledge in that career, and now I get to share that knowledge with the students and the people that live within the same community that work in the same environment that I just came from. And I feel like it's a great benefit to show those neat, cool tricks and excitement for those things that I've learned up to this point.
Yeah. There's a lot of debate, kind of even on the national stage about what's the best way to prepare teachers to go into the classroom in a way that, that really, really helps students. And your path was the non-traditional path, right? Like you didn't go
Correct.
to college to become a teacher. You worked in the
Yeah.
industry that you are now teaching. And a lot of people think that that's a really great way to learn how to be a teacher. You might be lacking maybe a little bit of the pedagogical type of stuff, but the
Yes.
content knowledge and the experience of students who want to go into your field, I mean, who better to do that than you?
Yeah, and it is challenging to be able to articulate that or even to create a syllabus or a curriculum because that's something I just naturally would do because it was just part of my job description. And now I have to be able to articulate it, put it on paper, articulate it to people who have no basis in that other than they possibly ran a tractor or their parents own a farm or a ranch. But luckily for me, I have two good mentors who have gone the formal route and they've been great with me to help me understand, hey, this is what you're doing and this is what it's formally called, and keep doing that. But that's my struggle on that aspect.
Yeah. Well, what a benefit to have experience in the field that you're able to share with students, even if like you're for any of us, right? When we start something new, there's a period of time where you transition and you have to polish
Yes.
things up a little bit and kind of figure out how they work. But to have that expertise, it's what a great advantage that is for you as a teacher. That's exciting, and I know our students have been excited about that too. Yeah. So Katie, what in the Lund K through 12 school,
Yes.
what is your role?
So I teach special education, K through 12, and I also teach 7th and 8th grade social studies and senior achievement here in Lund.
Okay. And also, I mean, you've been in the Lund school for a number of years, right? What before taking on this new role, what did you do?
So I started in December of 2020 as a paraprofessional
Yeah.
and worked until I went back to school and got my license in Nevada and then just started this school year as a teacher.
Yeah. And I mean, kind of in the same way as Moroni, like I imagine that you learned a lot by being a paraprofessional just through observation and being in classrooms and working with children. What do you feel like you picked up during that 5 years that has helped you take on this new role this year?
Yeah, no, I think it was definitely a benefit. I mean, in those 5 years, I worked under, well, two elementary teachers and then came over to the junior high side. So I've seen a lot of different strategies as far as classroom management goes, how curriculum's presented. So I feel like those all were just tools that I could put in my toolbox when I teach my own classes, but also just I think meeting students and being in the classroom has really helped them to hopefully feel comfortable coming and asking for help, or just kind of building those relationships beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah. What a lot of times special education teachers kind of aren't out in front maybe as far as what the public might see. Like everybody knows who the math teacher is and the ag teacher and stuff, but that's not always the case with a special education teacher. What do you love about this job, and what makes it hard?
Oh, that's a good question. I mean, I love this job because one, I get to help students with all curriculum areas. So I've been talking about functions and rate of change in math and rocks and science. So for me, it's fun because it's like little bits of knowledge here and there. I like to see these aren't usually these are students that struggle, and so their accomplishments might seem small to others, but they're big, and so I love to celebrate their accomplishments with them. Um, this year, I really made it a goal to teach my students to advocate for themselves. So when they run into a problem, say, "Hey, I need help. Can you help me? What can we do?" Or I'm feeling overwhelmed. And so to see them be able to do that for themselves has been really rewarding. Um, I think that honestly, the biggest struggle that I've had is with the paperwork. It's just, there's a lot of it and figuring out the right way to do it. And
Yeah.
so I've been fortunate to have a really good mentor that I'm truly grateful for, who's helped me walk through it. But again, it's just one of those things that you have to kind of learn on the
Yeah.
job. So.
Um, that really resonates because I sometimes, actually probably daily, I think about how much more time would we all have to like really do the important work of working with kids if some of these reporting requirements and the lengthy IEP
Yeah.
paperwork and some of this stuff that is required through statute were shrunk even just a little bit, that make
Yeah.
a big difference.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah, yeah.
And it is. I mean, the one thing about the paperwork I think is awesome. I mean, I don't enjoy doing it, but the way that we track growth through it
Yeah.
is rewarding as well. To see, hey, you wrote this goal last year, but we can check it off. You've accomplished it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's pros and cons to
Sure.
I think every aspect of it.
Well, so Adie, you are new to the school, period.
Yeah,
I
pretty
mean,
much new.
yeah, mostly. Let's say instead of saying period, let's say mostly.
Mostly,
Yeah.
yes. So I have been a substitute for the past 2 years in
Yeah.
Lund primarily. And before that, I was in my degree program with WGU, and I had the great honor of coming in doing some preclinical experiences with Mark Dolezal, who is the previous math teacher, and I learned so much for him. So while I am new to being a full-time teacher, I had the pleasure of knowing the students before,
Sure.
knowing the teachers, being in the school, which I feel has been so instrumental in kind of easing me into my first year.
And yet you're teaching how many classes this year?
Well, how do we want to classify them? Because so I'm teaching my math classes, my middle school and high school math. I'm also teaching secondary world history, in addition to doing the leadership and archery classes for the middle school. And in that leadership class, I'm also advising the middle school student council. So I'm doing a lot. It's a full, rich day, but it keeps my day interesting. It keeps my day full, and I'm having lots of fun.
I love I have felt over the course of my career that there's the interactions that you have in the formal classroom. And obviously those are important and there's learning that happens there as there should be. But the real ability to impact a student's life, I think a lot of times lies outside of those regular four classroom walls, which, is a big part of what you're doing right now.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so rewarding to teach in a math classroom and in a history classroom and see the students excel academically, but then to take that into a leadership class or into an archery range and see them excel in ways that they don't excel in the classroom. You really get to know all the different facets of your students, and just see them enjoy all the different aspects of their school year. It's amazing.
Yeah. But you do have Nevada roots too,
I
correct?
do,
Yeah.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
I was raised in Nevada, so I was born in Carson City, and I went to high school and middle school in Fernley, graduated from Fernley High School. And when my husband worked for the Department of Wildlife, he's actually down in Sunnyside, we moved there in about 2018. So Nevada, born and raised, love it here.
Yeah.
We'll be here for the next 30 years, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, I believe that, well, at least anyone that I've talked to feels exactly that same way about all three of you, hoping that is the case. Yeah, the remoteness of White Pine. I mean, people talk about Ely being remote, but Lund is also remote. And over the years, well, as you know, because two of you replaced teachers who were traveling from Ely to Lund every day to work. And so, what do you find unique about living in such a tiny, tiny community where there's so much interconnection with families and generations and roles and all these things? What has been unique about that? And anyone who wants to chime in there, go ahead.
There's a lot of parent involvement, which has been great. You don't feel like you're left on your own trying to figure out how you can best help this student, because the parents get involved and they offer their help and they participate and they allow us to work with them to the extent that we can create a better path for the particular student or all the students, because a lot of the parents come in selflessly and help with the classroom and not just specifically to their child as well,
Yeah,
which has been great.
sure. Yeah. Anything else you guys want to add to that?
Yeah, so the thing that has just stuck with me since I first started substituting was, in most school districts, you have a kid for 1 year, and unless you're teaching like an ag or an elective, that's the only year they're your student. And here, my students are my students from the time they're in sixth grade to the time they're seniors in high school. And even now, the kids that, were in the sixth grade when I first started substituting, they're now in high school. And I get to watch them grow up, and I get to build so much more of a relationship with them because they are with me for the next 6 years of their career, of their middle school career, the next 4 years, wherever they're at, we're going to be together for a long time.
I think the first thing that popped into my head when you asked that question was I earned a degree in education, but I wanted to do more of the early childhood part of it. And I never really wanted my own classroom. It was just not something I was interested in until we moved to Lund. And it was like, if I'm going to teach anywhere, it's going to be at Lund. And I'm so grateful for our class sizes because I feel like Adie said, we get to know our students on a deeper level and we get to make more connections with them. And I feel like with the smaller class sizes, it allows us to offer more differentiated instruction. So what are you needing from this course, or what can I help you with? So I am grateful for that as well.
Yeah, yeah. It really is a special school here. You know, I I think that there are challenges certainly that come with that type of an environment as well, whether it's in Lund or Ely or McGill or whatever it is. But there are so many great things that to me outweigh what some of those maybe sticky points might be. So, what about are there any big plans or goals or like when you're lying awake at night because I know teachers do that, right? We all do that, and you're thinking about, this is what I want to have happen for, for this class or whatever. What are some of those things that you're feeling like you want to inspire as far as the Lund School and your students at the Lund School?
I know for me, I've kind of already mentioned this, but I really put an emphasis this year just having my students advocate for themselves because that's a tool that they'll need here while they're at school, but it's also something that they're going to need when they graduate and become adults. So whether we have an IEP or we don't, we still need to advocate for ourselves. And so that has been my goal this year.
And I mean, that fits so well with agency. Owning something's going wrong, making sure that people are aware of what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would have to agree. The portrait of a leader framework is kind of like my concrete foundation for the relationships and the ideologies I want to help build in my students. And so the big idea for me is those durable skills. What are they going to keep with them after they're no longer a student? And a lot of that is the agency that Katie is building and the collaboration that Moroni is building in his shop classes. And for me, the critical thinking in my math and history classes of how to do what you need to when you're not sure. So we do a lot of that in my classroom, and that's what I hope to grow in my students.
Be, before you respond to that, I just want to make sure our light is really getting kind of funky there, isn't it? That's okay. It's um, it's better if my mouth is
Turn
better.
up the mic.
Should we scoot over so that we can get everybody in the frame? Here, let's
That's right. We can edit this, huh? Yeah, that's right, exactly. No, I was gonna say that you participated as early as, was that April or May?
That
or
was
just-
April.
Yeah.
Right after I graduated, I was invited to our Portrait of a Leader session in Reno, and that was such an amazing experience. And I also feel like that was a benefit to me to come into the classroom with that already kind of ingrained in me that I wanted to incorporate those ideologies into my teaching practices.
Well, it was hard to have in so early before you officially started your job and really throughout the whole summer and building those relationships with your colleagues and kind of understanding, what the big pictures that we're wanting to accomplish. So I appreciate all of the work that you did with that. It's good. Yeah. How about you, Moroni?
So, well, coming into it, before I knew what Portrait of a Leader was, initially, so Portrait of a Leader, I think, is a great foundation for students to have an idea of how they should portray themselves and behave within school and then within
Yeah.
a work environment.
Yeah.
The sleepless nights were, for me, were coming from trying to implement a system or a curriculum to where the kids could have skills and then take those skills and then be ready for the real world environment. But those skills come with time and experience. The thing I really wanted them to create was a network, create relationships, create a network, and those relationships will then allow you to grow those skills. Because somebody has to take a risk on you, and if nobody's willing to take a risk on you, it's hard to grow those skills. And that's what I wanted the kids to be able to understand, is that if you have good habits now, people will recognize those habits and then allow you to grow within their building or their facilities or whatever it is that
Yeah.
people are interested in.
Yeah. I appreciate that and the general kind of understanding of like explicitly focusing on those skills rather than having them kind of develop by accident, right? And of course, it's always going to be our job as teachers to teach our content, but I think many would argue that that content is useless absent those other durable skills that all of you have talked about today, because you can be a genius and remember every single piece of literature that's ever been written and read, but if that's all you can do, I mean, so yeah, I appreciate those responses. I want each of the three of you to know how much you are appreciated, how glad I am that you're part of a team, our team, and how lucky I think and fortunate our Lund families are to have you as their teachers. So thank you for your hard work. Thanks for taking a couple minutes to talk with me today, and have a great weekend.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. And thank you for all the help you have given all of us. And I
Yes.
know we're going to miss you so much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It means a lot to me. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.